Hey guys, JoeBoy here. So the video that I'm making today is going to reference the last video that I made discussing the possibility that the Vinsmoke might be targeting Big Mom for assassination. I'll go ahead and link that video in the description in the comment section. I suggest you check out that video first before you come out to this video here. But in this video here today, I want to sort of cover all the counter arguments that you guys had in the comment section of that video. Basically, try to cover up any sort of holes, possible holes that theory had as best as I can. So let's just jump right into this one. Alright, so the first thing that I really wanted to discuss is that a lot of people don't view it possible for Judge Vinsmoke to even be able to get a good assassination attempt on Big Mom. That they think that I'm overestimating Judge Vinsmoke's powers and underestimating Big Mom's. And so there's one key point that I want to throw in here that, you know, I assume that these people that brought this comment up didn't really consider, was that Big Mom has a sickness. And so there's some debate as to whether this sickness actually makes her stronger, physically stronger, or weaker. It could be like the sort of the Berserk class of fighter, where the Berserk class who sort of runs on anger, they actually are like physically stronger, etc., typically speaking. But it could also be that she's just hungry, and as someone who's hungry, you know, I know when I'm hungry, I don't get any stronger when I battle. So both of these I think are possible. I don't really want to discuss on this because I don't think that it's overly important, but it is something to consider. But what is most important is that she loses her sense and reason when she goes into her rage state. And then she also starts to eat pretty much everything in her path. And I really think that this is Big Mom's greatest weakness. That if you were the Vinsmokes looking to assassinate Big Mom, what you would wait for is for her to go into her rage mode if you knew that this sort of sickness existed, and then you would spike something around her with poison or maybe everything around her, and then she would just, you know, she would go into her cravings. She would then eat everything in her path. She would eat something that she shouldn't have eaten, and then ultimately potentially get close to dying because of that. And of course, there's always the possibility that with her attention distracted away from the Vinsmokes towards whatever it is that she's craving, will open the door for someone like Judge Vinsmoke, who, while probably not as strong as Big Mom, is near that tier at the very least. And that could open the door for Judge Vinsmoke to do a lot of damage to Big Mom while she's sort of, you know, off raging, looking for sweets or something like that. Basically attack her while her back is turned. I definitely don't think that Judge Vinsmoke is above doing something like that. We can clearly see that his character is painted as someone who's willing to use dirty tactics in order to win a fight. We can see that already with his first fight with Sanji, so I wouldn't expect anything different if ever he were to attempt to either assassinate or fight Big Mom. But one thing that I failed to mention in my original theory video that I'm going to mention here is that I really don't think the Vinsmokes are going to succeed, at least immediately, in their assassination attempt versus Big Mom. If they were to, so if we assume this is a situation where, you know, it ends up becoming the Vinsmokes versus the Big Mom Pirates and the Straw Hats, Big Mom is too powerful. She's too strong to be allowed to fight in pretty much any situation. She's too strong for Luffy, so she cannot fight Luffy legitimately, because she would win, I would imagine. And then she's too strong also to fight the Vinsmokes legitimately. So somehow she needs to be knocked out of the picture, and I think that this is a good way to sort of eliminate Big Mom from the fight. But I don't think the Vinsmokes are going to succeed in the assassination attempt. I just think that they're going to incapacitate Big Mom somehow. They're going to weaken her. They're going to, if the assassination attempt is somewhat successful, they're going to make it so that Big Mom isn't fighting. But if it's true that the Big Mom Pirates and the Straw Hats are going to ally in some form, which I think is possible because we already have a promise from Lola that says that the Big Mom Pirates, Big Mom specifically, is going to help them whenever they're in trouble. And then also we have some clues that Big Mom has a sickness, she needs saving in some way. So then on top of that, that's even more reason to suspect that they're going to somehow ally with the Big Mom Pirates. So if this ends up happening, there's guaranteed to be some sort of interaction between Big Mom and Luffy. So it's not going to be a situation where before Luffy even has a chance to talk to Big Mom is just killed. I don't see that happening, but I do see her being weakened to the point to where she's forced out of the fight, and then Luffy's sort of forced to take the lead and defending Whole Cake Island from the Vinsmokes, or just the Big Mom Pirates in general. And for those that would argue that it's going to be Luffy and the Vinsmokes versus the Big Mom Pirates, in that situation we could legitimately have Big Mom sort of uninjured, unaffected by anything, at her full strength, because perhaps with the Vinsmoke, the Straw Hats would have enough firepower to sort of double team or triple team Big Mom with like Judge Vinsmoke and Sanji and everyone to maybe have a chance against her. But I absolutely don't see that happening, because the Vinsmokes, their motives in this situation are really counter to anything that we would expect for them to truly become allies with the Straw Hats. Judge Vinsmoke basically wants to rule the entire North Blue. We can see with his past and his current character that he just doesn't seem like the type of character that when they're first revealed is going to be someone who's capable of allying with the Straw Hats. It's possible later, after they've defeated Judge Vinsmoke and sort of taught him how to be a better person, sort of like a lot of the other villains in the past, like, you know, Crocodile, etc. They were able to ally after they were initially defeated, but the Vinsmoke sort of seem to follow that same mold, in my opinion, which is that they at least need to be defeated before they can become some sort of ally in the future. And I absolutely do believe that Big Mom in this arc has to be somehow incapacitated, because there's no way that the Straw Hats are going to escape this island without direct confrontation of Big Mom. That's not going to happen. Big Mom already knows that they're there. There's no avoiding Big Mom. She even holds the keys now that they need to unlock Sanji's handcuffs in order to basically allow them to take Sanji and then leave. So they're not going to avoid Big Mom completely. That means that they either need to fight Big Mom, or Big Mom needs to in some way be fought by somebody else. That's just the only way that it makes sense to me. And then for those that would say that Big Mom also has an evil character, just the same as the Vinsmokes, I would just disagree here. I think that there's enough reason to suspect that Big Mom is a person that is capable of being allied with, compared to the Vinsmoke. But yeah, let's move on from this and go into some other things related to the theory that the Vinsmoke are going to try and assassinate Big Mom. One thing that was mentioned specifically is that even in this last chapter, there's reason to suspect that this marriage is legitimate. Judge Vinsmoke talks about how he wanted to sort of ally with Big Mom, and that allying with Big Mom is something that they've been looking for so that they can take over the North Blue, and that basically this marriage is legitimate because he didn't really want to marry any of his other sons with Big Mom. He just wanted to marry the dud, which was Sanji, and he didn't want to sacrifice any of his children to that deranged woman, is how he put it. And so, if we assume that this is just supposed to be an assassination attempt and not a legitimate marriage, then it wouldn't really matter which son or daughter was married to Big Mom, because you're going to try and assassinate her shortly after. So the marriage isn't legitimate. This isn't a long-term thing. There's no need to sacrifice any children whatsoever, because all you're trying to do is to get into her island, and then when she's not looking, try and take her out. So it just wouldn't matter which one it was. And so this is where I wanted to discuss this comment that Judge Vinsmoke made in a lot of depth. And this is going to be highly speculative, but I think is an interesting counter-argument. So in order to make this comment make sense, given all the other things that I previously discussed, where I'm sure that Big Mom and the Vinsmoke are going to take each other on, then basically what I'm going to say is that I think that this comment was a lie, or partly a lie from Judge Vinsmoke. And so it's hard to sort of, if you assume that this is a lie, then, how do you know what's truth and what's not truth? This is a common problem with theorizing based on One Piece, because while there are clues for what is going to happen, there's also a lot of other sort of clues that are basically meant to misdirect you from the truth. And so in this situation, I think that this is partly a lie, just by connecting the dots and looking at them from the perspective that the Vinsmoke are going to take on Big Mom. I think that the lie here was that the Vinsmoke basically wanted to marry Sanji off with Big Mom because Sanji was a dud. I think it's really possible that they were forced to use Sanji in order to marry the Big Mom Pirates, because Big Mom didn't want to ally with the Vinsmokes without Sanji in the picture. And so what is the importance of Sanji outside of the Vinsmoke? Well, I think it might relate to the Straw Hats and Straw Hat Luffy. Keep this in mind. We already have sort of direct clues as to how much Big Mom values Sanji. and then shortly after, how much she values Straw Hat Luffy. And so some of the Big Mom's subordinates tell Big Mom that Sanji has arrived onto Whole Cake Island, and she immediately brushes it off. It doesn't seem overly important to her. And then immediately after, we get inclination that Big Mom knows that Luffy has arrived on her island, and then we can see she's excited, she's happy. She definitely cares more that Luffy is on her island. She's more excited for that than Sanji being on her island, which sort of speaks to how much Big Mom is interested in Luffy. Keep in mind that this alliance with the Vinsmoke is a huge worldwide event of worldwide importance, which is that the Vinsmoke are an extremely strong organization. This marriage should be really important to her, and yet she sort of brushes off the fact that the Vinsmoke and Sanji are there. So I think this adds evidence to the idea that this whole thing was set up specifically by Big Mom so that she could meet Luffy. So with this being said, I think it's really possible that Big Mom doesn't really trust the Vinsmoke and never really trusted the Vinsmoke, and the only reason that this marriage is even happening isn't because she really thinks that the Vinsmoke are going to be future allies of her, huge allies in the One Piece world, but rather she wasn't willing to marry the Vinsmoke because of this alliance, but was more interested in the fact that one of their children, their son Sanji, was a crew member of the Straw Hat Pirates. I think that the Vinsmoke probably were trying to get in with Big Mom for a long time previously to the reveal that Sanji was a member of the Straw Hats and also one of the children of the Vinsmokes, but that they were literally rejected by Big Mom up until that point in time. And the last thing that I want to mention here is that the Vinsmoke are specifically noted as a family of assassins, and what this means to me is that at some point in time the Vinsmokes are going to show us within the story, show a scene in which they're actually trying to assassinate someone. That's really the only way that this makes sense to me. Otherwise, they could have just simply been painted as a noble family, a strong sort of mythical army that once ruled the North Blue. There was no need to include this sort of assassin line if it's never going to play a role in the story. Therefore, I think at some point the Vinsmokes are going to try and assassinate someone, and it makes most sense for them to try and assassinate someone in the arc that they're being initially revealed in. This being the Whole Cake Island arc, and who would they try and assassinate in the Whole Cake Island arc. The only character that really makes sense is Big Mom. But yeah, guys, this is just, these were the two main comments that went against the theory. For those who brought them up, I wanted to discuss them because I do think that they're important points. The second point specifically being probably the strongest evidence out there that the Vinsmoke aren't trying to assassinate Big Mom. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if my arguments were strong, or perhaps if I overlooked another argument that you potentially have against the Vinsmokes potentially assassinating Big Mom. Just let me know what you think. Leave your comment in the comment section. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to be notified for my future One Piece content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.